Hi guys, Enrique from Impact Unlimited here. Today is Wednesday and that means we are going to create more videos that are not related to the main cause of our channel, which is charity. And today we're going to take a look at 9 more random facts that you probably didn't know. But before we get to that part, please consider to subscribe our channel and also hit the like button.
It's definitely gonna help our channel to grow.
The credit of throwing the most luxurious party in the world in the recorded history goes to Iran. Back then, in 1971, the whole governance of the country was much different from what it is nowadays. Iran was ruled by a monarch called a Shah, which in terms of power resembles something like an emperor or a sultan. The 2500-year celebration of the Persian Empire consisted of a multitude of festivities that took place on 12th till 16th of October in 1971. And they were celebrating the anniversary of the founding of the imperial state of Iran and the Achaemenid Empire by Cyrus the Great. In total, there were representatives from 62 countries, which included most of the world's monarchy, like princes and princesses, dukes and counts, etc. The scale of luxury was unseen, and it's speculated that the cost of this party would be close to $2 billion nowadays. Needless to say, not too long after the party, the public found out about the costs and how luxurious they were celebrating it, and eventually a rebellion took place and the Shah was exiled to Egypt and a new government took his place, and it's much like the government that we see nowadays. Perhaps among the aspects that people take in consideration before they get a dog, they take in consideration its lifetime. And surprisingly, the longest living dog breed is a toy poodle. The sassy, intelligent toy poodle can make a great family pet, but
Don't underestimate
their energy or the amount of mental stimulation they need for their busy minds. It's not uncommon for toy poodles to reach 18 years old. And forget all those stereotypes of poodles as sissy dogs. Poodles are eager, athletic, and wickedly smart real dogs of remarkable versatility. With an abundance of steady character and intelligence, the toy poodle is a person and expects to be treated like one. William Adams, also known in Japanese as Miura Anjin, was an English navigator who in 1600 was the first Englishman to reach Japan, leading a 5-ship expedition for a private Dutch fleet. Of the few survivors of the only ship that reached Japan, Adams and his second mate Jan Joosten were not allowed to leave the country, while Jacob and Melchior were permitted to go back to Dutch Republic to invite them to trade. Adams settled in Japan, becoming the first ever of very few non-Japanese samurai. Soon after Adams's arrival in Japan, he became a key advisor to the shogun Tokugawa Ieyasu. Adams directed construction for the shogun of the first Western-style ships in the country. He was later a key to Japan's approving of the establishment of trading factories by Netherlands and England. He was also highly involved in Japan's Red Seal Asian trade, chartering and serving as a captain on 4 expeditions to Southeast Asia. He died in Japan at the age of 55. He has been recognized as one of the most influential foreigners in Japan during this period. The magazine Forbes has declared Jay-Z to be the first world hip-hop's billionaire. After building an empire based on music, property, fashion and investments, the US magazine has estimated the rapper's wealth now steadily totals at $1.4 billion. Forbes says that the husband of Beyoncé has succeeded because he built brands rather than just endorsed them. Jay-Z, born Sean Carter, grew up in one of New York's most notorious areas. He hit fame in 1996 with his debut album Reasonable Doubt. His 2001 album The Blueprint was in March added to the Library of Congress National Recording Registry because it was deemed to be culturally, historically and aesthetically significant. It was often assumed that Dr. Dre, who is also a rapper, reached a billionaire status in 2014 after selling his Beats headphone business to the Apple. But last year, Forbes put his personal wealth at about $770 million. In its rankings, Forbes rejected the claims that the rapper and the producer Dr. Dre has ever reached a billionaire status. Perhaps when we think about a statue that's towering over a sea, mountains or other terrain, the first image that comes in everybody's head is the Statue of Liberty. But actually, the Statue of Liberty in New York is not nearly to be the biggest statue in the world. The prestige of having the largest statue in the world goes to India. The Statue of Unity is a colossal statue of Indian statesman and independence activist Vallabhbhai Patel, who was the first Deputy Prime Minister and the Home Minister of independent India, an adherent and follower of Mahatma Gandhi during the non-violent Indian independence movement. The statue is located in the state of Gujarat in India. It is the world's tallest statue with a height of 182 meters. The project was first announced in 2010 and the construction of the statue started in October 2013 with a total construction cost of $422 million. Vallabhbhai Patel was one of the most prominent leaders of Indian independence movement, and he is responsible for unification of 562 split states to form the modern boundaries of India. The Mount Everest is so famous for its height that you probably heard about it before. It has been known to the world since early 1950s, when Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay first climbed its awesome summit. Hillary surveyed Everest at the time and determined that it was 8,840 meters high, a figure amazingly close to the current reading of
8,850 meters.
which was confirmed using a radar and the GPS technology. Modern technology also allowed scientists to determine that the Himalayan mountains are still growing at a higher rate of about 6.1 centimeters per year. Mountains aren't just big piles of dirt, they're made of solid rock. Believe it or not, the rocks that make up the Himalayan mountains used to be an ancient seafloor. Over millions of years, rivers washed rocks and soil from the existing mountains onto the Indian subcontinent and the nearby Asia in the shallow sea where the sediment was deposited on the floor. What caused the seafloor to be pushed up and toward the sky was the result of an action called plate tectonics. Plate tectonics has been only around for about 30 years and is a theory developed by scientists from many different disciplines working together. The Earth's tectonic plates are continually moving even today, but speeds at which they move are really slow. The Daintree rainforest covers about 1,200 square kilometers and it is the largest stand of tropical rainforest in Australia. This beautiful ancient forest is an estimated 180 million years old. It also supports thousands of species of birds, reptiles and marsupials. 30% of Australia's frog population lives here, as does 18% of all other bird species and 65% of butterfly and bat species. It's also a home to over 12,000 different insect species. Simply astounding. This World Heritage listed wonderland was the first home to Kuku Yalanji people. Every corner of this complex ecosystem uncovers parts of its history belonging to the land. The Daintree rainforest is a cultural museum to its custodians and a living timeline of evolution, where plant and animal life has thrived since Gondwana. It's also the only place in the world where two World Heritage listed sites stand side by side, where the rainforest meets the reef. The Great Barrier Reef and the Daintree rainforest live together peacefully and the wildlife flourishes between the two. It's hard to imagine what the life was like a few hundred years ago, but try to imagine this. Few nations around the world, like the British Empire, the Russian Empire and others, smuggled opium in then Qing dynasty of China. The Opium Wars were the wars waged between the Western powers and the Qing dynasty in the middle of the 19th century. In 1840, Britain went to war with China over questions of trade, diplomacy, national dignity and most importantly, drug trafficking. While the British officials tried to play down the illicit origins of the conflict, opponents gave it a name that made the link quite clear: the Opium War. The Second Opium War was fought between Britain and France coalition against the Qing in 1856 till 1860. In each war, the European forces' modern military technology led to an easy victory over the Qing forces, with the consequence that the government was compelled to grant favorable tariffs, trade concessions and territory to the Europeans. The wars and the subsequently imposed treaties weakened the Qing dynasty and the Chinese governments and forced China to open specified treaty ports, especially Shanghai, that handled all trade with imperial powers. In addition, China gave the control over Hong Kong to Britain. Tupac Amaru Shakur, also known as Tupac or by his other alias Machiavelli, was an American rapper and actor. He is considered by many to be one of the most influential rappers of all time. Much of Shakur's work has been noted for addressing contemporary social issues that plagued inner cities, and he is considered to be a symbol of activism against inequality. Tupac was fatally shot on September 7 in 1996 in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas. He was 25 years old. The shooting occurred at 11:15 p.m. when the car carrying Shakur was stopped at the red light in East Flamingo Road and a Koval Lane. Tupac was struck by 4 .40 caliber rounds fired from a Glock pistol, 2 in the chest, 1 in the arm and 1 in the thigh. He died from his wounds 6 days later. 1 year after the shooting, Sergeant Kevin, who headed the investigation, told Las Vegas Sun investigative reporter Katie Scott that Tupac's murder may never be solved. The case slowed early in the investigation, he said, as few new clues came and witnesses disappeared. Manning stated that the investigation was at standstill. Alright guys, I hope that you liked the video. If you still haven't subscribed to our channel, then be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.